You were mentioning Cribs. Did you see the episode where I believe it was Robbie Williams started singing a Filter song in a monk voice? It was one of the only episodes I've ever seen.
Robbie Williams is a huge fan of Filter, and I think it's amazing. And you know, I think he's an incredible talent. Let Me Entertain You is one of the best videos I've ever seen. You know, I really do. I'm honored when people say they like Filter. I've found out that you know, there's like a short list of people that dig my band, and it just freaks me out.
I'm not sure it's such a short list.
Yeah, well, you know, I bumped into Toby Maguire once, and he said he was a huge fan, and you know, just like I'm like, wow, you know about my band, you know, that freaks me out. Like I've heard, you know, just. A lot of different people have liked it. I'm just honored to be here. You know, I love Filter. I'm blessed I'm allowed to be in it, and I'm blessed that I've got it back going on, and I have amazing bandmates. My bandmates Mika Finio on drums, John Spiker on bass, and Mitch Marlowe. Not only are they like, you know, amazing musicians that are really talented, I want them to be a part of the next record. I want them to be all over the next record and co-write with me, absolutely. And you know, they're also like really close friends of mine, and I've really come to depend on them as friends, and you know, it's great to have that.
So you're done with the hired help musician kind of thing? You want to have somebody stay around?
I mean, you know, Filter is the kind of band, you know, where, you know, let's face it, my first record contract had one name on it. It was, you know, Richard Patrick, and I did Short Bus with myself and a guy named Brian Leeskang, who's an engineer / programmer or a producer, and you know, a computer and a drum machine. So all the drums on Short Bus were literally mechanical. It's, you know, so it was a, you know, that was the starting point. When I wanted to do Title of Record and when I wanted to do Amalgam, I used Gino Leonardo and Frank Cavanaugh and Steve Gillis, and that was that version. And when I decided to make Filter come back after Army of Anyone, I chose to really take advantage of the fact that, like, you know, Filter's kind of set up like Bruce Springsteen. It's almost like a solo project. You know, Neil Diamond or you know, Justin Timberlake, or someone that can literally have like anybody working with him, and you know, being able to share a stage with, you know, Dean and Robert, and to know that I can work with such amazing people allowed me to kind of find some folks to work with on this record. And before I met the guys that are in the band now, I was working with Josh Abraham, and Josh is like, why don't you get Josh Freese to play drums? And I'm like, that's awesome, you know. And then I had talked to John Five, you know, many times about working. So he wrote 2 songs with me, and it's also, you know, I want to write more songs with John Five again. It's a free, open band. It's kind of like Wu-Tang Clan or you know, Queens of the Stone Age. Josh Homme. He's kind of the boss, but yet he still has you know, a wide variety of people that he works with, and I think it's very important, and that's the, you know, that's the interesting thing about Filter, and I think it's important to utilize that you know, you can really have a lot of people work on these records now.
Okay. Another question I was wondering is, your lyrics can be explicit but poignant. How does it feel knowing that your grandparents would be seeing that, your mom? Does it bother you at all? Does it make it harder to write?
Run that by me one more time.
Having more like sexually explicit or violent lyrics ever.
Sexually explicit?
I believe I was reading one of the lyrics, something about sticking a dick in somebody's face. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, knowing that your family is going to see that.
Yeah.
How does that go?
To be honest with you, I really don't want to offend anybody, but when you're writing from a viewpoint of anger, sometimes you have to say something mean.
Absolutely.
And you know, you know, you don't wake up every day and just want to help people sometimes. Sometimes you gotta vent. And I've been blessed to, you know, be able to live in a society where you can say whatever you want to say. I'm saying in the song "What's Next," George Bush is fucking us up, and I think I'm a better patriot because I'm saying that. I believe that we have to be able to voice our opinion. You know, it's like Bono said during, you know, the mid '80s. He's like, I'm tired of this non-stick wallpaper music, this like glossy non-stick wallpaper music out there. It's time to say something. And I just took it upon myself to take that freedom and say what we're all thinking, you know?
Okay. One more. Speaking of your family, not seriously though, have you and your brother ever fought about who's more famous? And how do your siblings live up to you?
No, my brother and I get along very well. You know, Robert's a little competitive, but I've always just been happy for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he is a very competitive guy, and he's really, you know, he's very confident and strong, and you know, that's what it takes to be an actor.
I'm sure.
Especially when you're going to be a Terminator. He was 32 years old, and he was the Terminator.
Were you scared of him afterwards?
Oh, growing up with the Terminator was pretty crazy. There were times when, you know, I weighed 100 and maybe I weighed 70 pounds, and he's 10 years older than me, and the guy literally, I was a real loudmouth, crazy youngster.
And he was a typical older brother.
And he just, like, one time he just picked me up by my neck and pushed me up against the wall, and he just held me there. And I was just like, you know, just like, wow, you're actually doing this. He didn't hurt me, but he demonstrated that he could really mess me up. But you know, the reality is that, you know, when you're growing up, if you don't have someone to keep your, you know, shit in check, you know, you can go off the deep end. And I'll tell you what, that, you know, that strong kind of almost like gym teacher approach to being my older brother came in handy when he was telling me it was time to go into rehab and time to get responsible and start helping myself in sobriety. And it was a tough pill to swallow, but, you know, he was a huge inspiration in me getting sober. So,
and how do you say no to the Terminator? Really?
How do you say no to the Terminator? It's funny, in Walk the Line, he has a conversation as Johnny Cash's father.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites too.
It's great.
He says to Joaquin Phoenix, he looks at him, he's like, "You ain't nothing, just a pill popping rock star. You ain't nothing but a broken tractor out in the middle of the yard, stuck in the mud. You ain't nothing." And I remember looking at that scene and thinking to myself, "Wow, I know where he got his reference on that." You know what I mean? Because he had the same conversation with me, you know, years before, you know, trying to get me straight and sober. And thank God I got sober. I've been sober for 5 years.
Congratulations.
Coming up on my 6th birthday, so it's
Happy
awesome.
birthday.
Thank you.
I think that's all I got. I really appreciate it. Oh, and have you seen the new X-Files movie, considering?
No, have not seen the new X-Files movie. He's going to be in the next one, I think. Someone was telling me he was going to be in the next one. But I did see Dark Knight, and wow, what a good movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I can't wait.
See Batman Begins, and then see...
Yeah, I haven't seen either.
See both of them. They're real. They're more real.
I'm not into usually the, you know, action hero comic book movie, but this one I heard is...
You know what? It's really amazing, and they do an incredible job.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you tell me, then obviously, you know.
Well,
how many times I get a rock star recommending movies?